Alright guys, this is the next tutorial in the series, and what I want to cover in this one is what I'm calling passgate node, which is basically a more complicated version of an AND gate, because you need this to be on and this to be on to turn this on. Um, so it is kind of like an AND gate. Now, the difference is that this will always be on, and this will always need to be set as on if this is the number that you want set to be um, the part of the combination. So since it's uh, a static um, comparison number uh, in the AND gate, it needs to be always on, and it needs to have some different triggers, um, because if it gets toggled off, then your board gets broken. So what I've done is I've pretty much just taken this piece by piece, and I did the video at night before this, but I didn't like the way that it was done. Um, I needed to add a few bits and pieces. I forgot to explain the mapping and build an example from scratch to show you everything that goes into it. All right. So before I get more into depth, I'd like to send out thanks and credits that I forgot to do in my first video. Those thanks and credits go to the following, and there's kind of priority in order here, I guess. The first one would be Zentarial, who started uh, me on thinking about this with a forum post about a combination lock. At the time, I had my ideas on how to be able to do it once I got to the linking and triggering phase, but I was still gathering and mining. Um, I just started back in December. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to start sooner because of financial issues. So financial issues caused internet issues, and even being able to afford $20 to get in the game. I did have internet throughout the last year, on and off, so I was following this game closely and was waiting and anticipating when I could actually come in and start doing stuff. So I just finally got to the building stage, and the triggers and maps that the triggers that I knew of were multi-string triggers that I knew from my old days of map editing with StarCraft, Brood War, and Warcraft 3. And I was undelightfully surprised to find out that these are only single string triggers and not multi string. Um, there's no if when option or multiple ifs in a when loop kind of thing. So that kind of threw me off. I had an idea on how to do it, and then I get into it and have to figure out a whole new set of things. So this is the reason why I'm doing these tutorials, because for some people that don't have any uh, practice with single string triggering. I don't know if that's a technical term, but I mean, I think in a nutshell, it's descriptive of what it is. It's single string. If I do this, it'll send that, and it'll send that. But there's no way to be like, okay, if when this is checked and this is checked, do this. It's single string to where you have to where it only goes one way. It won't take into account a secondary effect without the use of logic gates. Um, there's no inputting multi-strings. Alright, so what I've done here is I've taken one of the nodes over here and I've blown it up so that way you can better see it. It's, spaced out. And what I've done over here is I've set up basically little things, and I don't know if this is really going to work with the daylight for you to be able to see the effects now with turning lights on and off. You can kind of see it. So if you just had two inputs, you would never be able to turn this off, and that's fine if you weren't going to run a master lock where you can change the combination at will easily without having to edit or delete or move around stuff or relink. things. This is basically a board so that way you can, as Ron Popeil would say, set it and forget it. And then if you need to come back, you can set it and forget it to sorry, set it to a new combination and forget it, without having to worry about dealing with all these triggers again, and placing all these objects, and blah 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 blah. So, if you were just gonna have one set combination and never wanted to change it, one of the big priorities, no, not priorities, sorry, one of the biggest reasons for having a changing combination is, people were talking about having apartments that they could rent out to people, and when you evicted somebody, they'd still be able to get in if they knew the code, and then you'd have to go through and change all the links and change the numbers and things like that. Now you just have this master board in a locked area, and you would just you would just set it to, you could put like, some pixels that would form like the number one. So apartment one is this, and then apartment two is that, etc. So if you want a changing board, the two light system of just a simple input output is not going to work, because you can never turn this off once it's on. You turn this off, it turns that one on. You turn this one off, it turns that one on. Which I said, for a combination that you're just going to use once, it's perfectly fine. Um, but if you want it to change, then it's going to be different. The three light system by itself doesn't work either, because I can never turn all these off. It's just no matter what the triggering you do. Trust me, I did a lot of trial and error with this. Um, oh, I got sidetracked on the credits here. I'm sorry, guys. All right, so Zentarial was, the basic premise, and he let me looky loo his setup, and I actually copied a template from him, and I had it down here. I think I posted it right about here, where I have this display board for this, and I tried looking through it and tracking the triggers and being able to understand it, and I just ended up not being able to do it. It did help me get a better understanding of it for simple numbers of things that I would need. Uh, it helped me with the AND gates a little bit, which are these over here. Um, but I mean, I still had to figure out a lot just by testing trial and error. It's like, was that the link? No, I guess not, because that's not working right. Am I supposed to toggle here? Am I supposed to turn on? Am I supposed to turn off? That kind of stuff. And then I watched a video by Minkus Aladana. So credit goes out to him, because he had some good tutorials on the different types of gates and how to use them. And lastly, but not least, but I know I said that there is a priority to the order, but DeSilva, for actually getting me going on this. She needed some help one night trying to figure out the broken template that she had copied from Zentario. For some reason, when she copied it over, it wasn't working properly. And if you have, one or two things broken in this, it completely ruins the functionality, and you can look at it all day and not know what links are broken if you don't get some sort of understanding. Um, so those are the credits and the thanks to people that have helped me, inspired me, and moved me forward on this. All right, so back to the task at hand. We have the three lights. As you can see, I can never turn these off again. They will never all be off. I mean, it's just, it doesn't matter what order I try to shut these off on, it just won't work properly, and I've tried different links and things like that. The four lights also doesn't work. The key here is time delay. Although Zentarial has a setup to where he doesn't have switches in it, he has more. Um, Sorry, here, lost for words. He has more lights but no switches. But he does have a toggle switch off to the side, in which he said that he uses to debounce inputs. So I don't know if when things get, and then he has a master reset switch, which has a big switch and then a few switches. So and he's got another switch too that does things. So he might do it all through one switch. I don't know. I like having the individual switches, not only because it makes things easier for me to understand and explain, um, it's less worrying about something triggering off and setting off something that I a chain reaction of something that I don't want. And also, I kind of wanted to be able to have these here just be standalone nodes that I can just sit here and pull out and copy, and then come over here, and I'm just going to post it on the other side because otherwise I'm going to flip it around. It's just easier for me to sit here and paste it like so. And this is a standalone node. Now I don't know why when I paste this these lights are on. Maybe somebody can tell me. Um, Alright, so it's a standalone node and it'll function by itself, and then I can I can pick this node up and link it in. If I wanted to add a fifth number to each one, a fifth option, put one down here for each of these, go over to the master control, put down here, do the links from there, and then put them up here, and then basically all I would have to do is I could put a node here, and it would be all by itself. I would then have to make another spot here, link that node to that, and also link the master board to there, and then all I would have to do is take the output and link the output to the same in, because I'm not changing the amounts of numbers I have to put in, I'm just changing the amount of options that I have. So you could just sit here and you could, at any point, if you wanted to make the combination a little bit harder to figure out, you can sit there and just copy and paste it. And then you can copy and paste rows as well. So I could then take this whole row and this would be set up, and then I can put a new input, and I'd have to create another logic gate for it. But I could make it easily. It's something that's nice, compact, and it's standalone, and it doesn't require any outside influence besides input from here, and sending an output to sending an output to a new input for another AND gate in order to unlock the door. So then with the forward ones, it doesn't matter if it's never going to work. Now also I try doing it with just one switch, and sometimes it'll shut things off the right way, sometimes it won't. And unfortunately, there might be a way. I'm sure that there might be a way to do it with one switch, but I've boggled my brain. Passing this knowledge along, maybe somebody will be able to pass some knowledge on to me on how to bust it down to one switch here, or maybe even less lights. I don't know. Maybe somebody has a way to do that. But I mean, I'd like to keep basically the functionality that I have. I turn this on, which that light is controlled by a master switch on the board. Obviously not that one, because this is a test. Well, not a test, but a display one. I mean, so if I turn this off, it turns everything off every time. I don't have to worry about it not doing it. It's gonna have everything shut off. It's gonna reset that each time. So that way, when I link the master board to this, whenever the combination is changed, it'll change, and no wrong lights will be left on. Okay, so that is that. So as far as I know, and as far as I'm concerned, with the node setup that I've created, you need all four lights, and you need the switch. Well, you don't need this light. You can just have this light from the master board directly linked to the this light, the tracker light. Okay, so you don't need this light. I put it there because it just, like I said, you don't even need to have the master control board if you don't want to. You can just use this, and with that there, it's just easier. And I think it just makes it easier to look at and know for sure that the right node is being triggered off of the master control panel. You come over here, and instead of just a little light here. You've got a big orange light all the way to the left, and then these are part of the gate, and so this is just separate. It's just a hey, this is the one that's currently being triggered. Um, Although if you sat there and wanted to hide this logic panel through a wall, you wouldn't really need the um, the orange ones. Of course, I have it set up to go from the board to this, then to that. Not, but you could set it up to go directly through that if you wanted to cut out a light. Um, so it's kind of like just a marker of sorts. All right, so to get to the triggering here. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to get rid of this display here. Okay, and then go ahead and fill back in the wall. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to build this switch here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, and I'm going to leave this over here because I might actually have to double check some things and make sure I'm not missing any links. I'm going to try to do it without having to cheat and look at it, but I might have to. Sorry. My brain's not that great. I mean, I'm smart, but holding in, stuff like that, it's not easy. All right, so we're going to start here. We're going to have orange light. We're going to leave that the default size. Okay. I need that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink this to the smallest size. Okay. And then I'm going to duplicate that. And then I'm going to come in here. And then I'm going to shrink this to the smallest size. Whoops. I can just duplicate this here. And then we're going to go... you can use all the same color lights, but I just like having that, different colors marking, different things. It's a little easier to look at. It's kind of like when you do HTML or programming, you capitalize, certain things, and some people do all caps for the programming stuff, because that way, it stands out differently and stuff like that. It's just easier to keep track of. All right, so we've set up all the things that we need. Well, all the objects that we need to start setting up our triggers. So the first step here, okay, for this node, and I'm not talking about the connections yet from the other steps. I'm just talking about these parts here. Okay, we want to create a link, and then, sorry, when it's turned on, we want this to turn on. Okay, when this is, and then link, when this is turned, sorry, when this is turned off, we want to turn off, and then link, when this is turned off, we want to toggle. Okay, and then we want, when this is turned off, we want this turned off. Okay, so I think that's all the links that I need for this light. Okay, so And I'm gonna double check here just to make sure it's all the links. Make sure I'm not missing one. Okay. Yep, I've got the when turned on, it's going to turn on. When turned off, it's going to turn off. When turned off, it's going to turn that light off. And when turned off, it's going to turn that light off. Alright, so I have all the links that I need for the first light. Okay? So that first light is done. See? And it toggles that. Okay? Now, this next light. Okay? This is the marker light. So when this is turned off, okay, because when it's on, that means that it is the active number needed, or the active spot needed, whatever you want it, or active color needed. If you had a color combination, you could take this big thing here, this big light, and make those match the input board, so it'd be easier to track too if you wanted to do that. Okay, so when this is turned off, we want to turn this on. Now this is only ever on when it's marked by the master board that it's the number that's needed. Okay, so it'll only ever get turned off by either shutting off that location or by the input board causing it to trigger and lock in an entry, as it were. Okay, so and we want to link okay, when this is turned on, okay, we're going to turn this back on, okay, because that's our marker light. Okay, so this is basically an input that is always going to be active if it's set to be active. It's a controlled input. Okay, so we always want that on. So that's why this is like an AND gate in a sense, because this is technically this is okay. The top one is basically the master board entry is on, and then this one says the input entry is also on. So then we have this one here being turned on by that. It's like a checking. It's a check kind of thing. That's why I call it a pass gate. If it's checked, and if it's not the right one, then it doesn't do anything. If it is the right one, it does something. So it's like a pass-fail system. So hence why I'm calling it a pass-through gate. And I'm sorry if it's one of the gates that's already named and I just don't know it. So somebody can tell me what the name of the gate actually is, if it's actually a gate. All right. So now, okay, where was I? Just gonna exit out of this. Okay. So also, Link, when this is turned on, okay, we're going to turn this on. Okay. Now we don't need to link this to this, because this is always on. So the only thing that's going to affect it is this. Now normally in an AND gate, what you're going to have is this would sit there and say, hey, if I'm on, this is going to toggle. If I'm on, this is going to toggle. And then whatever it starts at is the point that it needs to be at in order for it to get the output that you wanted. So if it starts off, it needs to be turned off in order to get the rest of the sequence completed. Okay, you could have this set to on if you wanted, and then whenever it gets turned on, then it would work on a gate system. Now this is just simple. When it's turned on, it's done. Okay. So we have that link system here. So I turn this on, okay, and then this gets toggled by the input. And then, so now this is turned on, okay? Now, sit there and turn those off. So, the next thing that we need is, in the line, alright, is when the player changes the entry from the board, okay? We want both of these lights to turn off. So the next thing that we need to do is take a link, When turned off, we want to turn off the other one. We want both of these to turn off. Okay? Now, when turned off, we're going to turn off this. Now, this has nothing to do with actually turning this off. Okay? But now, as you can see, I can't change the lights, because when this is turned off, it turns this off. All right. So when this is turned off, it turns this one on. So right now it's stuck. It's never going to work properly. See, this is off, so that means that this is supposed to be off, and then those are on. Okay. So I shut this off. That shuts that off, and then it sends a link here to shut that off. Actually, am I supposed to have that link to shut that off? Ugh, hold on a second. Let me check this. When turned on, turn on. Okay. When turned off. Yeah, I'm sorry. No, we don't want that link. Now, notice I've got multiple links here when it does stuff. All right. If I want to break a link, and this is just a quick tip, when turned off, it's going to only show that link. So if you have two links going to this, when it's turned on and when it's turned off, and you want to make sure you're disconnecting the right one when it's this close together, or when they're layered on top of each other, you can select the one that you're going to destroy, and that's the one that will get destroyed. Okay. Okay. So now, right now, okay, this is on and that's on. So for my master switch, I sit there and I turn this off. Well, now everything's on. Everything's all funky. Okay. Okay, now this here, this time it shuts off. But it's not doing it every time. It's not triggering the right things to happen each time. Okay? Now the basic... Sorry. Alright, now the basic thing here, for the functionality of using the gate is here. We just have to finish being able to change the combination. Okay? And the way that we do that is we then link, which we already linked this if you remember in the beginning. Link. Alright, it's when turned off that it goes to that one. Now see, it shows me here the list of things that happen when it's turned off, and I know that I already have that floor switch there. Okay. Now we want to link when toggled. Want to link to this one, toggle on or off, and then this one gets linked. We want to turn. Sorry. When it's toggled, we want to turn that off, and then is it just that one? I think I need to shut that one off. Right? Just double checking to make sure I'm doing this right. No, it's just that one. Is it this one that sends it? Yes, sorry. Yeah, this is why you need the two switches. Link when toggled on or off. It's green light. Broken. Alright. Link when toggled on or off. Alright, so we shut this off, and everything turns off. Go ahead and shut it off again. Everything turns off. So now we know that when we turn off that switch, it's going to shut off each time. Okay? And then we know that when this gets turned off, it's going to turn these on. Okay? So it's going to mark those. And then we know that when the entry from here gets changed from being the right answer, whatever one gets clicked here is gonna turn off the other one. And then what we want to do is we want to have a link, and I'll show you the link. Did I cover this in the overview? I think I did. Okay. Now in the link, when this is shut off, it shuts off the corresponding output. And when that output is shut off, it then shuts off that. And then we also have the link from the output. When it's turned off, it shuts that off. Okay. Now, if you look here, this is the one thing that I hate about these triggers, is that it only looks like I have when turned off going out here, and when it's turned on, it does nothing. Because the way it stacks on each other, you can kind of see the blur if you look really closely. I don't know if you're going to be able to see in the video, but when you're in the game, you can see it. But if you want to double check to, if you're like, okay, I have the off. Did I have the on one? You hit the on. There you go. You've got an on. Okay. It'll display that you already have that. I mean, it'll also display anything that you hover over. It'll show the switch. Okay. But also, it'll show a green chain for anything that would be new, would be a new a new link, and an orange chain shows existing links. I think that explains the node part. The passgate node that I've got here. And the reason why I'm calling it a node is because it's a whole functional piece in itself. It's got the it's not only has the gates, but it's a standalone. It's a standalone gate that could be linked up in the thing, and it's got a marker, and it's got its own shut off and everything like that linked into it. Okay, so that covers that, and next we will go on to the next video for anything additional. I don't think I forgot anything about the passgate node. I think I've covered it all. I'm sorry that I checked my own stuff to make sure I did it right, but it's better that I did that and cheated by double checking than to sit there and fumble with it and make you watch a whole bunch extra video just because I'm sitting here going, what am I doing wrong? It's fine to be able to double check stuff, in my opinion. I didn't want to cheat, but I had it mostly right. Just had a couple of things that were errors. Alright guys, so I will see you in the next video.